Well, the United States has an epidemic of school shootings and mass school shootings that is just off the chart compared to other nations.
Nowhere else do little kids go to school thinking that they might be shot that day.
And there may be much more to this than either side in Washington may think. For example, if it's all about the killers having easy access to guns, why were gun crimes and the murder rate mostly going down year after year before the pandemic while school shootings kept going up? And if it's all about mental health funding, why are the record investments we're making in mental health services in our schools and elsewhere year after year not reducing the rash of school shootings and massacres? Well, it may be that our investments in mental health services have reduced mass shootings from what they otherwise would have been, and that more investments in mental health treatment and tighter gun laws could reduce them even more. But there is also another problem in the United States that is unique to this country that politicians from both parties tend to miss, and that UF Professor Bob Deacle nailed on the head.
Motivation to go out in a blaze of glory.
Science journals and research have linked mass school shootings to social misfits who seek revenge and fame and attention. And our nation is unique in how our media and culture tend to glorify celebrity. And fame can now be achieved by anyone going viral by doing something shocking. And our culture and media give inordinate attention to someone who happens to already be famous who does something shocking. Think of the message that might send to a rage-driven outcast who feels shunned and wants to get noticed.
That's the easiest way for a nobody to achieve notoriety, is to commit some sort of a horrible act.
Deacle was a prosecutor who's dealt with mass shooters and serial killers for decades. He's best known as the lead prosecutor of the serial killer Ted Bundy. And he says a serial killer like Bundy kills more or less as a hobby, while mass shooters are driven by rage and attention.
I'm a nobody. I can't get a date, but I can get a whole lot of attention by going off and killing a bunch of people.
And that is exactly what the confessed mass school shooter in Parkland wanted and received based on conversations he had with his brother.
That his face is everywhere and his name is national. There is discussion of starting some sort of pen pal or fan club and how many girls he is capable of attracting.
And look at this. These are stacks and stacks of fan letters intended for the confessed Parkland killer. It's men and it's women of different ages claiming the confessed killer has an army backing him up. Most of them teenage girls or young women fawning over him and sending selfies and bikini shots.
I was going to use one word to describe it. I'd say pathetic, and follow that up with disgusting.
Deacle remembers how some people fawned over Ted Bundy as well. That in itself is not new. But now in this age of social media, it all gets amplified by algorithms that fuel and elevate extremists who project rage.
And people are famous for being famous now.
Now combine that with the looser restrictions than our peer nations and the limitations of our background check system and the mental health crisis, and you can see how the issues can intersect, kind of like a rocket equation with a lot of interconnected variables that explain the driving forces in order to determine how to navigate the challenges. But our politicians in Washington are not rocket scientists.
We have federal regulations and state laws that prohibit hunting ducks with more than 3 rounds. And yet it's legal to hunt humans.
What about getting a department that can look at young men, that's looking at women, that's looking at just social media? What about doing that, looking into things like that, and we can stop that way?
And they'll tend to work this problem by citing one particular mass killer with no apparent mental illness, or one who never bought a weapon, or one who cleared or would have cleared a background check. Argument by exception to collectively shoot down each variable in the claim that it cannot solve the problem.
In the case of Texas, hardening background checks wouldn't have helped.
And that reveals yet another variable in the problem, which explains why it remains unsolved.